I come from a family of teachers and social activists and things of the sort where it's a lot of giving.
Right.
And with inflation and living where I live, it's not an option anymore.
Right.
I got forced to make the mindset shift. Am I thankful? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited to be here.
Right.
It is empowering on so many levels. And I always think about what you say, which is you're not worried about making more income because you're going to be a good steward of it.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me today. I actually have a client profile. We're going to do a little deep dive with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go.
So we're actually currently doing an event here for a few of my Platinum Mastermind clients. And Joanna, you are one of those clients. And I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, well, here, let me ask you this first. How has the experience been so far? This is your second time actually working with me here at Skyview. So how has it been?
I'd say the experience has been transformative. It's been really helpful to take the foundation from what we worked on. I actually really like how it's staggered because you take the first experience, you go home, you see what you're comfortable with, but what you're uncomfortable with, which is more important, right? And where your not only tech blocks are, which there can be many for many people.
Don't worry, it's not just you.
But then also where your emotional blocks are, right? So where you don't have comfort.
Yeah.
And I don't always love getting out of my comfort zone, but I know that that's where the change happens. Yeah. And that's what we have to talk about with our patients too, about, hey, sometimes you're in that fatigued, burny state because you've been, going so long with your reps and sets, but actually that's where the change happens. So, and it's really fun to go through it with other practitioners and be able, and I'm fortunate where I was with a lot of them for the first cohort. So to see where they are now and see where our similarities are in terms of our uncomfortable levels or areas, but then also see where you can actually help other people.
Right.
And so that's super cool.
Yeah.
We're not in school anymore. And so that's like a cool, we don't get these cohorts. That's cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? If you could tell us what kind of inspired you to get into business. So what's kind of the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I mean, my motivation to get into physical therapy in general was just to help people.
Right.
Like my original motivation, I remember when I was very young, was thinking about learning to help people to walk again after strokes, which I did. And I'm so fortunate to have done that. I'm so thankful. But like your personality and your lifestyle kind of comes into play. And I ended up after doing some traveling therapy as well and working in those turn and burn clinics to moving more to orthopedics. And part of the reason that I did that in creating my own brick and mortar, it actually wasn't necessarily my choice.
Happened there.
Yeah. So we have an interesting situation, right? So I met my now husband in Park City, Utah. He has a restaurant at the base of a ski resort. So it's different than typical industries where his restaurant was shut down in the spring and the fall. Right. Totally closed. People go to the desert, mountain biking, hiking, all that stuff. So during that time when the restaurant would be closed, I would take traveling PT positions. So we would travel to different states, but then when the restaurant would open, we would come back. And I had people starting to ask me, hey, will you see me here? Will you see me there? I'd love to get treated. And my husband, being the entrepreneur that he is and supportive person, gave me a kick in the butt to start my own thing, which I was terrified to do. Terrified. And I was like, I don't know. I'm in my 20s. Am I qualified to do this? I never had a business class in PT school ever.
Yeah.
I knew what a P&L was, but I'd never made one. So it's terrifying. But so anyways, the general population I work with now are, I consider everybody an athlete basically in Park City, and not just in Park City, but in general, if they find that movement that they love. And I work with everybody from middle school and high school athletes all the way up to people in their 70s and 80s. But the main part of population that I work with are really 35 to 55.
Okay.
That's kind of where those accumulation injuries start to kick in. People have had their bad habits and then they're working in these tech jobs or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's really awesome. So you said your husband is an entrepreneur. He has a restaurant in like the ski area of Park City.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the driver to push you into doing this.
For
right?
sure. Still is.
So how long have you had your own practice now?
I've had it since 2010, so I'm 15 years in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was one of the first, like, only people that I knew. I knew one other practitioner who had their own practice. But otherwise, isn't it so interesting how fast things change
Yeah.
in our industry?
Yeah.
And I mean, society in general. But now there are so many people, and it has to do with where our healthcare system is currently. It's forcing people into getting their own practices because they can't survive and
survive in the other way. When you started in 2010, was it cash or were you taking insurance?
Yeah, I'm still at in the same model. Basically, I'm cash except for Medicare.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
those patients are on fixed incomes, and so I volunteered for a while at a place called the People's Health Clinic. I'm passionate about trying to provide therapy for people in all economic circumstances.
Right.
And then, but also, like, you also have to make your own living.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
there's an emotional piece to it.
How long have you been a physical therapist?
Since I graduated in 2004.
In 2004.
21.
Okay. So you basically had 6 years of you doing traditional PT as a staff, therapist, and doing home health gigs and stuff like that. And then the last 15 years, you've kind of been working for yourself.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What has been like the biggest mindset shift for you as an entrepreneur to go from a staff PT to an entrepreneur? I want you to answer that first. And then I want you to answer what has been the biggest mindset shift that you've had to go through over the last 2 years.
Yeah. There have been definitely a few mindset shifts. I think to leave traditional PT clinics, part of the reason I got frustrated was I always had these thoughts of ascension and optimizing care, but I felt like there was nowhere to go with that. So going into my PT clinic that I created, I'd say the mind shift once I was an entrepreneur, and I didn't learn this for several years, but let me tell you, I wish I had earlier. A lot of times, done is better than perfect. I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
You know, but we have high standards.
Right.
We should.
Right.
But, so, and then in the last 2 years, I think, buckling down and investing in myself and being okay with the fact that I actually want to have and create an income and a lifestyle that I've wanted to create for myself and my family for a long time.
Right.
I come from a family of teachers and social activists and things of the sort where it's a lot of giving.
Right.
And with inflation and living where I live, it's not an option anymore.
Right.
I got forced to make the mindset shift. Am I thankful? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited to be here.
Right.
It is empowering on so many levels. And I always think about what you say, which is you're not worried about making more income because you're going to be a good steward of it.
Right.
I'm not fully there yet.
Yeah.
In terms of my self-belief. But I mean, I know all the causes I want to give to and all of that. And it's I think that I can do more good if I can be satiated and fulfilled economically.
One of the best books that I've ever read was Business Secrets from the Bible by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And he helped me reframe money. And by the way, like, I just read that book in 2020. I'm so happy to hear this. Like, I'd already had some pretty amazing success in multiple ventures, right? But I still have that poor mindset. I'm from a third world country. You know, we didn't grow up with much of anything. If we consumed stuff, like the idea of a business person was always someone bad. People are greedy, they're gluttonous, they're this, they're that. Yeah. So I've had to rework all that stuff in my mind. And there are many times that I have sabotaged myself when things got too high on my thermostat. You know what I mean? My money, thermostat, because I felt like my family was maybe disowning me, or
Mhm.
they looked at me weird. Oh, you think you're better than us now because you're
Totally.
making this, that.
Yeah.
So it's all these different things. But anyways, going back to the book, it was really amazing because the way that he framed money was that it was a certificate
Mhm.
for actually doing good for God's
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
And you only got money when you were able to give value
Mhm.
and serve
Mhm.
his children.
Mhm.
And so I now look at it as though, yeah, when I have a lot of money, it's because it's just a certificate that I'm
Mhm.
getting because I've helped so many people.
Mhm.
And that's helped me because I just want to help people.
Yeah.
Like I want to help people. But at the same time, I don't want to feel that pull. And we were just talking about this, downstairs. I don't want to feel that pull of, okay, I have a lot of money, but that means that I have to just kill myself in the process,
Yeah.
or that I can't enjoy it, or that, like I should always feel some guilt with it.
Mhm.
No. The goal here
Mhm.
is to help as many people as possible
Mhm.
with whatever the purpose is that
Mhm.
you feel like you have on this
Mhm.
earth, right? Because our time here is obviously, limited,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And I want to help a lot of people. And at least my way of doing it, okay, this might not be your way of doing it, but my way of doing it is knowing that there's people that I are going to be part of my vocation,
Mhm.
who are people that are going to pay me, but I'm going to give them something really amazing
Mhm.
in lieu of them paying me.
Mhm.
But then there's also going to be people that I don't need any money from, and I'm just going to advocate for them.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that when I was treating as a therapist, I could only do vocational work,
Mhm.
but I couldn't do avocational work because I didn't have my business in the early days set up
Yeah.
to where I had enough margin,
Yeah.
to where I had the time to be able to help the causes that I wanted to help.
Yeah.
And I feel like now I'm very proud of not only making money, but making a profit,
Yeah.
so that I can buy back my time,
Yeah.
and then I can use that time to be able to not only, take care of myself, take care of my marriage, take care of my kids, but I can also take care of like a lot of other people that don't have the skills,
Mhm.
had not worked on themselves enough to be able to overcome these mental battles.
Mhm.
And I can actually help many of them now
Mhm.
for free,
Yeah.
not even needing to take anything from them.
Yeah.
And that's like a really awesome feeling. And when I was able to rework that
Yeah.
mindset shift for me,
Mhm.
it was like game over.
Totally. So I have a question,
Mhm.
potentially two questions.
Yeah.
First of all, do you ever find yourself moments where you get back into the more like fearful doubt mindset around finances?
Yes.
What
I
are
still
the
do.
triggers and how do you get out of it?
Yeah, I think that the triggers are different today than what it was before,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
I think today, so the answer is yes. I
Okay.
still get those doubts, and rightfully so. I'm 47 years old. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, 21 years now,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And even for the first, I would say 7 years of being an entrepreneur, I I just owned a job. Okay. I just owned a job. So I wasn't really taking big risk.
Mhm.
Okay. I think where things like change for me
Mhm.
is actually when I did lose a lot. I actually had to foreclose or short sale a property,
Yeah.
and everything that my family ever told me was make sure you have good credit, never make sure your credit goes bad down. And in 2000, this is in 2010,
Yeah.
my credit went bad.
Yeah.
And I realized all the things that I thought would happen, they actually didn't happen. I thought that my wife would leave me
Oh,
if
wow.
we were broke.
Yeah.
Like
you lived it,
yeah.
but you you'd lived it in your mind so much, but then it was different in reality. Wow.
You got it. So Joanna, for me, so here,
Yeah.
I'm interviewing you, but I'm going to tell you guys this. I think this is so important for you all. You're going to hear. So for me, my parents, when we went through, here, let me say this. My dad was the first person in our family,
Yeah.
in a Todd household,
Mm-hmm.
ever to make $100,000 in a year. My dad did that in 1987.
Wow.
And $100,000 a year was like basically making like nearly $1 million a year
Yeah.
today, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but then he lost it. He was in a financial services world,
Mhm.
working for a company called Primerica. And I saw it get pretty bad. His team left him, this, that, da, 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 da. He co-signed for some of his team members on a car. They screwed him over. His credit got ruined. I saw them coming to size up our house for foreclosure.
Wow.
But I also saw my parents' marriage
Yeah.
take a massive hit.
Yeah.
And so I thought for so many years that if that ever happened to me, my wife would leave me because that's what I saw.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So-
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so fast forward now to 2010, when all that was happening,
Mm-hmm.
my wife didn't leave me.
So
My wife didn't leave me. And it made me realize, oh my gosh, I was playing it safe.
Yeah.
I was playing in a middle-class world.
yeah.
I was playing everything safe
Mm-hmm.
so that my wife wouldn't leave me.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that I thought that could potentially happen bad, that
Yeah.
would happen to make her leave me, she's like, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care. It's like, I don't care if you got money. I don't care. I actually want you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
after that, it was game over. It was game on for me.
Yeah.
And literally a year and a half later, I became a millionaire.
Yeah. So incredible.
It was crazy.
Incredible.
It's crazy.
But it's like,
It was just a mindset shift. That was it.
isn't there so much in life we have to actually unlearn?
Yeah. You have to learn. And also the stories that we are taking
Mhm.
from our past,
Yeah.
whether it's our parents, our grandparents, aunts, uncles, that we're then carrying on to the
Yeah.
next generation.
For
And
sure.
so we were able to break that. I truly thought that the only way you can get a woman to stay with you is if you have good credit.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, whether I said it or not,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And she didn't leave. And I realized that, wait a minute, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, we're fine. So I started to take more risk.
Mhm.
I started to go after more things. And not everything worked out,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's when things, took off for me.
Oh my God. What
And so, yeah, it's just all these money things we're having to rework. And most people aren't even aware. They're just broke and they're just poor and they have no idea. They're just like, it is what it is. And what, and now things are getting really tough and people are like, I gotta flip this. But yeah, just investing, like I believe in, people are like, oh, you're a coach. Of course you're going to say invest yourself. Look, I'm like a much better student than I am a coach. And I think I'm a pretty good consultant. I've been a consultant since 2009. I think I'm a much better student than a coach.
Mhm.
I invest a lot in myself because, we just talked about this downstairs.
Mhm.
This is not my only thing. I've
Yeah.
got vacation rentals. I've got, software company. I've got, virtual staffing. I've got
Mhm.
consulting. I've got a lot of things going on. I bring me wherever we go.
Mhm. For sure. I would
So-
say, yeah.
Like everything that I'm learning from coaches, from other people,
Yeah.
I take that with me everywhere.
Yeah.
I take that with me everywhere, right? Whereas if I'm going to do a reno on a property,
Yeah.
like that only stays at the property.
Totally. I always say, who's the one person you're with 24/7?
Yeah.
And that's yourself.
Exactly.
So if you don't like yourself, you got a problem. You got to
Right.
work on that.
Right.
But, I mean, I also think it's a really good life lesson to show your kids
Right.
to actually that it's healthy to invest in.
Right. It's healthy. And it's a huge self-worth thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we want our kids to feel confident.
Yeah.
We want them to feel worthy. So if we're telling them, like if we're showing them through our actions that we're unwilling to invest in ourselves, we're unwilling to take care of ourselves, whether it's investing in our mind, investing in our skills, investing in our health,
Mhm.
then like how are we really like are we really parenting
Yeah.
and trying to make them better?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna it's not what they're taught, it's what they're catching, right?
But here's the beautiful part.
Mhm.
It's exactly the same thing for our patients.
Right.
We are doing the same
Same thing.
for our patients.
Same thing.
And we gotta walk the walk and talk the talk.
Right, right.
Ideally. And granted, you know what? Everyone's imperfect. We all go through stressful times. We all go through times where we aren't able to invest in ourselves. There is not. I think that there should be a mind shift about not having this like continuum of your profession. There needs to be. I think about it kind of like when you're in school. It's so nice because you have semesters. They're like you power through and then you got to break.
Right.
You
right,
power through and then you got to break.
Right.
And I think that that's important for
Yeah.
people to think about their profession too.
I also think that there's different levels. Like there's not just one thing.
Mhm.
It's not just, okay, I'm constantly investing myself in business. But what I am doing is I'm always investing in myself in some way.
Mhm.
Like me deciding that I'm not going to, chow down on ice cream at 9 p.m. at night
Yeah.
is me investing in myself.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
Me deciding to wake up and go outside and meditate
Yeah.
is in me investing in myself, right?
Mhm.
And I'm doing that every day.
Yeah.
So we all should invest some level,
Yeah.
right? It could be spiritually, it could be mentally, it could be emotionally, it could be financially, it could be I'm learning a skill set, I'm learning something new. I'm going to invest in finding more people that can help me, and I can help them with their purpose, and they help me with my purpose. But I don't necessarily need to invest in like whether it's like coaching or this.
Totally.
There can be seasons of that, but
Yeah.
I just believe that, and it's funny that now as I've shifted over to investor, as moving, I feel like now I'm starting to shift from being the business owner to now doing more investing. I can tell you this, because you know me, I'm always trying to learn, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So just
absolutely.
learning
Yeah.
from like angel investors, learning from people that are like in the game,
Yeah.
say, well, what are the reasons why, like the investments that work?
Yeah.
Like what is it? Is it the opportunity? They never say it's opportunity. They always say it's a person.
No way.
That's it. And
Really?
so
Yeah.
that honestly is what has made me even double down investing in myself even more, because at the end of the day, people are just buying other people. We're buying you.
Well, you know what? That is like redeeming my whole vision of the future.
Yeah.
Honestly, because we've gone so far away from like human to human connection and human to human relationships. And so the fact that whenever we can acknowledge that is worth investing, and that's what we see. People want to be seen and they want to be heard.
Right.
And that same thing goes for our patients. That's one reason why like I love physical therapy. I can have these relationships with patients, not just see them once a year. And you get to know who they are, and you get to see what makes them tick. And then and it's that same thing in terms of like the accumulation, whether investing yourself with your morning meditation or not having ice cream at night.
Right.
It all accumulates.
Right.
It's
Right.
all choices. And if you can have, I think, frameworks and mindsets, you're so good with all the frameworks, right? And not overwhelming people. And I just,
you know, it's so interesting with patients. I was just thinking of, I treated for about 16 years, right? And when I go back and I think, like, actually 2 days ago, one of my like most amazing patients passed away. She's only 61.
Oh,
it's crazy.
so sorry.
So like I treated her son.
Yes.
I treated her daughter, and it was just like, so I was just talking to the family, yesterday. But I'm just thinking like her. I'm thinking of all the people that like, and you probably have like your top 10. Like there's probably a Joanna, like Mount Rushmore, okay? A Mount Joanna Moore of like her top 10, patients. We won't say just in case everybody's listening, all right? But I guarantee you they all have something in common. They were willing to go all in. They, on their bad days, they still found a way to show up. And they invested in themselves. They invested in their health, and they went all in. And that's what we are attracted to.
Yeah.
So whether it is as a physical therapist to patients, or it is as an investor to a business owner, or it is as an entrepreneur to you trying to sell someone on why they should work with your business and your establishment, at the end of the day, people are just buying each other.
Oh.
And it's just like, have I bought into you? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And that's really it.
Well, and I think that if you can find what resonates between you and your patient, you leave that session more energized than you do drained, because we give all day.
Right.
We're talking. I mean, I drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Dehydrated by the end of the day because I'm literally talking all day. But I'll tell you two of the main qualities that like just like make my heart explode with my patients are like humility and ability to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I also think it sets a stage. Like if we can bring that to the patient, it's not so much of a hierarchy, a top down of like, you're coming and I'm telling you to do this, you just follow it. Some people need that for sure, but to feel like it's a team approach and that they don't have to be perfect, and they can come in and say, hey, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't do my exercise program. I'm like, hey, I'd rather you be honest with me than not. And guess what? It doesn't affect me. You're just gonna be coming in more.
Right.
So like
Right.
It works for me, but you have not gone down a notch on my ladder at all.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let me ask you another question. So you've been in business now for 15 years. Let's talk about a regret. I mean, the people that are listening to the podcast,
Yeah.
a lot of people are in that consideration level of
Mhm.
starting a business.
Yeah.
There's some people that are listening that have been in business for many years, but there's also people that are intending to do it, but they are scared. So can you give them some sage wisdom
Yeah.
of, hey, you know, if I had to do it over again, I would pay more attention to this.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually gonna take this from one of my fellow students
Okay.
from grad school. She has a clinic in Maine. She's gone through 2 cycles. And I started mine in 2010 and I was very fortunate. I was able to go through several phases in my life of having kids, being sick for 18 months. Like I was really, really lucky with that. But guess what? Now I'm in this phase, which I can view it as a regret of mine, or I can just say, hey, this is the phase that I'm in now, and I'm just going to run with it, which is like, I really want to do well for myself and for a lot of people and do well with efficiency. Efficiency was not the name of the game for me initially. But if I had to start again, what I saw my fellow student do is she actually took time between jobs. She took like 2 months or something, and she got everything dialed. It could have been longer than that. Because then when the clinic opened, she was ready to go. When you are trying to build a business, figure out your billing, figure out your equipment all at the same time, it's really hard. And that's one of the mindsets that I've had to reconcile with, which is focusing more on one thing in a hierarchy rather than so many. Similar to education for me, I'm interested in a lot of things.
Right.
And I was talking to my husband about this the other day, not this particular topic, but we were talking about how when you're building, it's hard to lead at the same time, like grow your leadership skills.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard that before.
Right.
And that really resonated with me. So if I had to do it again, I would take the prep work so I could focus, do a deep dive. So then you can just focus more on patient care and you can kind of tie up the loose ends.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think there's just seasons, you know. It's like and you know, I kind of said it to you yesterday or maybe today. Prepared messenger is much more important than a prepared message.
Yeah.
And just making sure that you feel ready. Now not using that as an excuse, like, hey, because some people use that to procrastinate even more and not do the thing.
Totally.
But it's one thing to make sure that you're going into something and you feel really prepared, so you don't feel like you're being pulled in all directions, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, yeah, I get that. All right. That's awesome. If there's someone right now that's on the fence with starting a business, whether it's online or offline. I know you have had your brick and mortar and you're now transitioning into online as well.
Yes.
But if someone is on the fence with starting a business, what would you tell them right now?
If somebody's thinking about starting a business right now, I would ask you what your motivation is and how strong it is.
Yeah.
Because as an entrepreneur, there are highs and there are lows. And guess what? Everyone's got doubts. Everyone does. So I think that if you can find that North Star, whether it's internal or external, whatever you want to call it, but find out what your drivers are, what your motivators are, and figure out what you need to make in terms and what you need to earn financially, because the numbers are gonna really help bring reality into the picture, because there is a lot of like fairy tale dreaming about having your own clinic.
Right.
And parts of it are amazing and parts of it are really hard.
Right.
So the more you prepare yourself, whether it's like taking, you know, an online business class, like a super brief one, just learning what your P&Ls are and things like that, I think it'll give you more confidence, or whoever it is out there.
Yeah.
Luck. You got this. I'm cheering for you.
Yeah, no, I think that is so important. It's not easy. And I think a lot of people get started in it very similar to how I got started in. And I actually started a business out of straight arrogance.
Yes,
Straight
totally.
arrogance. I truly thought
Yes.
that because my patients loved me
Yes.
of where I was at, that I would be able to make it.
Yeah.
And I was working with tennis players
Yeah.
and I was working with pros. So I'm like, well, if the pros are working with me, who wouldn't want to work with me?
Absolutely.
And it was straight arrogance of why I started a business. And I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to get clients. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to keep clients.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to get people to buy in, not just other providers and businesses, but also staff.
Yeah.
And how much money I was going to bleed through
Oh my
before
gosh, yes.
before it actually
Yes.
did something. And really it's not what you said is so true. It's not a lot of time that you really need. It's just awareness. It's just awareness. Like, this is what it's going to take. This is what you're going to have to do. People are not just going to come to you. You're going to have to create some type of something in the marketplace that's going to be unique. You're going to have to do a lot because no one owes you anything.
Right.
And I man, if people really understood that, then they can make a good decision on whether or not this makes sense for them.
And timing is so much.
Right.
Just because you can't do it right now or it's not the right decision for you does not mean it's not the right decision for you in 9 months.
Right.
In
Exactly.
2 years.
Yeah. Just understanding what it truly entails.
Yeah. And I think that, obviously, like we talked about, we didn't get any business classes in PT school. And I think it's a disservice. I actually really, really do. Because I think there's a lot of innovation. I think there's a lot of quality of care that happens out of these smaller clinics.
Right.
But PTs, I think, are very emotive people, right?
Yeah.
We are kinesthetic.
Right.
And the business part doesn't feel that way. And so the practice of getting into it before you're actually in your own clinic, and it's almost like a separate entity. They're like sisters or brothers or something, but it's a different mindset. It is, and sometimes it takes me a minute to have to get into the mindset of how to deal with breaking down the numbers or breaking down the functions of the business and what I need to work on. Whereas I go in the clinic and I'm like, oh, this is old hat. This is great. This is my comfort zone. This feels good. It's warm and fuzzy, And I'm like, oh, that's like ice water, even though now I like that much.
Should be doing cold plunges this weekend. So anyways, thank you so much. Can you tell people where to find you online?
Yes. People can find me at personal-pt.com. That is my website. And then I have personal_PT_for you in Instagram.
Yep.
And then my Facebook is personal PT.
Personal PT.
Yes.
Awesome.
So it's all linked on my website. I might have said one of those incorrectly because hey people, I'm working on my social media game. So judge me lightly. I'm a baby of the 80s. Oh.
All good. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. I have to tell you this. I like to finish every episode by acknowledging the person. You have amazing energy. And I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but I'm like, you bring energy like me. I believe you are the white female version of Greg Todd. You got energy. So I feel like, no, seriously, you have it. And somebody that has that level of energy and zest and excitement, it would be a shame if you're not serving more people, because people just need a light.
Thank you.
And it's something that I have to remind myself of.
Yeah.
That, we sometimes just take ourselves for granted. And maybe the people around us is just like, you're just so damn extra. You're just so
eye rolls I get a day.
you're just so damn extra. But people love it, and it's just who we are. And I can see that you are that way. And it's actually quite refreshing. I was like, as long as she's around, I can kind of shut down a little bit because she gets everybody going, so she's good.
Well, you've totally been a light for me. And I have to tell you, one thing I so appreciate about you is you give a ton of motivation. That's awesome. That doesn't set you apart for me. What sets you apart is you give it to me straight.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, this is going to take work. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah.
But those two things combined with your energy and the vision that you have for people and also your willingness to adapt. You're an early adapter.
Yeah.
And guess what? We get stuck. And as people, and I as people age, it's like, I don't want to be that person. I want people who push me. I want people to help me learn.
Right.
And we can all get there. It doesn't matter when you start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But technology is moving fast. So for you to bring AI into physical therapy and healthcare and make it feel comfortable and accessible for people, like somebody said downstairs, you don't make anybody feel stupid asking questions about this stuff. And I was sitting on the couch listening to you like tell us about AI stuff. And I was like, oh man, he is doing the work right now because I like teaching people about AI who are like older.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. I think one of the big things is that I attract an audience that knows that I'm willing to share everything. I'm not only willing to share, okay, this is what I'm doing, not this is what I did in 2022.
Yeah.
This is what you should do now.
Yeah.
No, this is what I'm doing like right now in real time. Right?
And you're learning it too.
And I'm learning it too. Yeah. And I also am willing to share with my audience, and I have to give you credit for this, is that I share the highs and the lows.
Yes.
Right. And so I feel like in the early days of SSPT, before it turned over to SSHC, everybody looked at me as kind of put me on this pedestal. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I had to live up, like I couldn't make a mistake.
Yeah. Oh,
you know? And
totally.
Oh yeah. It totally was like that.
We're told
and
not.
Remember I was telling you earlier, I knew our podcast was going to be long. See? I knew it. Remember I was telling you earlier that my audience used to be a lot younger.
Yes.
It was a younger audience. So I feel like back then, from 2016, when I started this to 2020, people like looked at me as like, he can't do any wrong. It was almost like I was like their dad. Yeah. You know, like that type of thing, like a true mentor. And then you start to
live safe.
And then it's like, if I have something that doesn't work, it will destroy them. Yeah. Because then they're like, well, if dad can't win, we can't win. Yeah. And that made me play it safe.
Yeah, exactly. You get in the box.
Whereas now I decided I don't want that pressure on me anymore. Yeah. I want people to know that entrepreneurship is hard. Yeah. I do not have it all figured out. Yeah. I'm going to go for it. Yeah. I know that this is super risky. Yeah. I know that it's risky to go into AI, do this, do that. And you guys constantly see me changing. Yeah. And I feel like the people that are rocking with me now have had to just accept this is what he does. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. And it really has allowed me to be my totally most authentic self.
Yeah, and I was just like honesty and genuine. Yeah. That's totally what comes out.
Yeah, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, awesome podcast.
Okay, thank
you.
Yep,
cool. Good job.